happy Wednesday or happy hump day, and thank you guys so much for joining with me here on Candid Conversations. Today, we're going to talk about showing up and giving yourself space for grace. But before we do, don't forget to hit the notification bell and like button so you can follow me here on social media, connect with me as I go live, and engage as I make posts. And, connection is super important. And I think, it's one way that we can do it and not just scroll mindlessly through social media, but actually engage with one another as we live our everyday lives. Today, I want to talk about space for grace. And where are you at today? Sometimes in our life, we go through different seasons and, we feel like guilt weighs us down. We don't forgive ourselves for things that we've done or haven't done, or, we have a tape that plays over and over in our mind, maybe not necessarily guilt, but all the things that we want to do, we haven't done, we don't measure up, words maybe that play over and over in our mind, maybe things that other people have said or we have said ourselves, and not feeling like that we measure up or we are able to accomplish and complete all of those things that we put on ourselves. I'm not talking about what other people put on us, but I am talking about what we put on ourselves. Um, I think it's important that we give ourselves space for grace. We're all going to make mistakes. We all, don't hit the mark perfectly. We have high expectations, great goals. And sometimes when we don't meet those, or sometimes when we feel like we're letting someone else down, maybe it's at work, maybe it's at home, maybe relationships, whatever that may be, we need to give ourselves space for grace. And sometimes when you're feeling that weight and heaviness of failure, of guilt and shame, condemnation, all of those things that distract us and weigh us down and actually get us so our focus off, where we're focusing on all of our shortcomings and our weaknesses instead of all the great things that are in store for us and ahead of us and right in front of us at times. I think in those moments, it's important that we show up in a different way and give ourselves space for grace. Where can you give yourself space for grace today? Maybe you need to take a step back and, look at things from a different perspective, get a different point of view to realize what your circumstances and situations really are, to mentally wrap your mind around what is going on, to, maybe take a breath so you can relax, walk in to the room in a different mindset. Can I tell you, sometimes taking a breath and a step back and getting a different perspective doesn't change the situation, but it changes our perspective of the situation, what's going on, and everything that's in play of that situation. There's a few things when you're feeling that way, when you're feeling heavy, when you feel a bit disheveled, or you can't get out of this feeling. One, I want to encourage you to start with prayer. If you're not a praying person, prayer is talking to God, opening up lines of communication, and inviting Him into the situation and circumstance. So number one, start with prayer. Number two, show up. Sometimes all we can do is show up, but in the showing up, God meets us exactly where we're at. And the third thing is give yourself space for grace. We give our other people, it's okay, give them a do-over. But when we give ourselves space for grace, we give ourselves room to fail. We give ourselves room to make mistakes. We give ourselves room and space, and we get back up. Instead of, literally holding ourselves down by our mentality, by our feelings, by our emotions, by the things that we say, the guilt, the condemnation that continues to pile on top of us, instead of releasing that and saying, you know what, get back up, brush it off, and let's start over. Let's do it again. We want to do over. We need space for grace in our life, not just people giving us space for grace, but we need to give ourselves space for grace in our everyday life. Where can you give yourself space for grace today in your workplace, in your relationships, at home, all the things that you're doing. Maybe you're in the midst of a health journey and recovery. Maybe it's finances. There's so many different things. Where can you give yourself space for grace, taking a step back, looking at things differently, just showing up and inviting God into the conversation. I love what Second Corinthians chapter 9 verse 8 says. It says, God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. I hope this has encouraged you today, as you today are going to give yourself space for grace in the areas in which you need it. If you have prayer requests, put that in the chat box. Thank you guys so much for joining with me. I want to be praying with you, walking with you on this journey. You guys have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you soon.